So we're going to continue with the half treble crochet. I'm going to show you how to do a start chain and turn your work and come back along working into the top of your half treble crochet stitches, and then how we work into that end chain and how we count that as a stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over and make a turning chain. So we're going to do yarn over and do it once, and yarn over and do it twice. So we're going to make 2 chains, and then we've turned our work. So we did our 2 chain at the start, turn our work, and what we're going to do this time is that 2 chain at the start there is going to count as a stitch for us. But we don't want to work into this very first half treble stitch, because that 2 chain will be a stitch for us, and it will quite often say in your pattern, turning chain counts as stitch. So that's what we're doing here. This is counting as a stitch, so we don't need to use that first chap. We're going to go into the next one along. So I'm going to yarn over, because we're doing our half treble. I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to pop my hook in this little hole here. So through and underneath, and we've got to make sure it goes under both those V's. We're going to yarn over and pull that through. So we've got 3 loops on our hook, just like we did with our first row. We're going to yarn over again. We're going to put it through all 3 of those. I want to take that out and just show you that again, because skipping this first stitch is really important. Otherwise you'll find you're starting to increase by accident all over the place. So that 2 chain from the turn, we're going to miss this one, and we are going into that next one along. So we're going to yarn over first, into that stitch there, yarn over, put it through. We've got the 3 on our hook. We're going to yarn over, we're going to put it through 1, 2, 3. And now we're just going to carry on along that row. So we're yarning over our hook first. These are the 2 stitches we're going through. We're ignoring that hump stitch for now. We're going under both of those there. We're going to yarn over again and pull it through, yarn over, pull it through those 3. So we're going to carry on along that row, yarning over our hook first, going under that V, yarning over there and pulling it through, yarning over, putting it through all 3. And you'll see what we've got now is we've got 1 stitch, which was our turning chain, 2, 3, 4, and should have 6 more to go. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because we're going to be working into that turning chain as well at the start. So let's yarn over and go into the next stitch. Yarn over, put it through. So we've got 3 on our hook, yarning over and putting through 3. Over the hook we go, into that next stitch, yarn over there, put it through the stitch, yarn over and put it through all 3. So we'll just do the last chaps there. In he goes, over and through 3. So we've got 2 regular stitches we're going to work into before we get to that end chain that we'll be working into in a second. So yarn over, through, yarn over, bring it through the stitch, yarn over, bring it through 3. Let's just untangle my yarn, there we go. So we're going to yarn over, pop it under our last V there, our last half treble stitch, yarn over and put it through 3. And now what we need to do is this is where we start working into our start chain. And as I said earlier, your pattern will say start chain counts as a stitch, if that's the case, which it usually is. So what we're going to do with this chap, we want to find our V again. And what we'll do, I'm not going to yarn over, I'm just going to show you where it is first. There's the first side of that V. We just need to manipulate it a little bit to get it through the second side of that V. So just like that there. The other alternative, and quite often it'll say work around or through into chain space, and all that will mean is we put our hook in that whole space there, and we can work around that chain. Either way, you will get what you need, which is the right number of stitches. I find it a little tidier to yarn over and just work into the top of that turning chain, which is more common, but a little bit fiddlier. So there we go. So we're going to yarn over and put it through there, and yarn over and put it through all of those. So that's where we worked into the top of our turning chain. We've made a nice little 2 rows of half treble crochet. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to finish off this row of half treble, but you can start to see as you build those rows up how that hump stitch I talked about on the first bit actually starts to stand out, and you start to get this sort of pattern coming through, and it just creates a different material. And if we turn that back over, because you're working and flipping it and going reverse to reverse, that hump stitch will pop out. So you start to create quite interesting textured material. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to work under the top of that stitch, and I'm just going to complete this row of half trebles. So we do our yarn over, pop it into the stitch, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and go through those 3. I'm just going to keep going to the end here. Yarn over, pull it through 3, and it will just give you a really good understanding of what it is your half treble work should look like. So yarn over, we've got 2 stitches to go again, and we're going to work under that last stitch there, yarn over, put it through, yarn over through 3, and again we're just going to work into the top of our turning chain from that previous round. I'm going to show you a little alternative. Instead of trying to go through both stitches, you can just pop your hook under one of those chain loops, yarn over, put it through, yarn over and put it through 3. And what you'll see is it really doesn't make, this is a chain stitch where we went under both of those chains earlier on. And this is where we worked into just one loop of that turning chain. And it just shows you how versatile crochet really is, because you don't have to be that precise. As long as it's working, you can see it creates the same nice tidy finish, and it just means it can be a little bit easier sometimes. So I'm just going to bring in the double crochet stitch, a little sample of that, so we can just see the difference between those. The double crochet has got that much tighter, slightly more structured material. The half treble has got this hump stitch which creates that lovely sort of texture on the material. It also creates a slightly looser, a little bit gappier material, so it's less compact than the double crochet. But just with that one extra loop while you're working those stitches, it can just create a nice variation in your material.